Imagine buying like a state-of-the-art $100,000 spaceship of a car.
Oh, yeah. The absolute dream car.
Right. It's completely silent. It's insanely fast. It is basically the cutting edge of modern technology. But then you pull up to a fueling station in your city, and you literally have to flip a coin to see if the plug actually works.
And usually it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. If it's dead, you drive to the next one, only to find, a 2-hour line of people just sitting there waiting.
Which is, I mean, it's a total nightmare scenario.
It really is. And last year alone, over 160,000 EV drivers lived some version of that exact nightmare. Like anyone driving an EV knows what it's like to pull up to a dead charger.
Yeah.
But the data we're looking at today puts a terrifying number on it.
Yeah, that 55% figure.
Yes, a 55% first-try success rate at public charging ports. You actually have better odds betting on red at a roulette table than successfully plugging in your car on the first try.
It is honestly a staggering reality check for the whole industry because, we've been sold this vision of a completely frictionless electric future.
Right. But the physical infrastructure itself is creating this massive, just undeniable bottleneck.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking directly at a rapidly exploding market that is trying to solve this exact bottleneck. We're talking about the world of mobile electric vehicle charging, which is often called charging as a service or CASE.
Which is a fascinating space right now.
It really is. And I'm speaking directly to you today, whether you're like an EV owner who completely dreads the logistics of your next long road trip, or maybe a business owner trying to figure out how to upgrade to delivery vans without totally bankrupting yourself on electrical permits, or honestly, just someone fascinated by how global infrastructure actually gets built.
Because it affects all of us, really.
Exactly. We've got a really dense stack of materials today, market data reports, product specifications, competitive analyses, and we're taking a really deep look into a company called BeeChargedEv, which is aggressively pushing this market forward. And I think the main goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to unpack a major transition. We are moving away from viewing mobile charging as just this niche emergency roadside rescue service.
Right, like a tow truck carrying a giant battery.
Exactly. We're moving from that into what is essentially a multi-billion-dollar permanent layer of our global energy grid.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand why mobile charging is suddenly this massive multi-billion-dollar market, we first have to look at why the permanent fixed charging grid is struggling so badly.
Well, the adoption rates are just outpacing the concrete, essentially.
Right, EV adoption is rocketing upward. The projections we have show the U.S. expects to have 33 million EVs on the road by 2030. Now, you look at a map of chargers today, and it seems, well, somewhat okay at a glance.
Sure, yeah.
There are over 326,000 public charging ports in the U.S., but the actual coverage is incredibly spotty. The data shows only 35% of U.S. interstate highways have chargers every 50 kilometers.
And if you contrast that globally, it's wild. Europe is already at 75% coverage for that exact same 50-kilometer metric.
Oh, wow. So they're more than double our coverage.
Yeah. But the geographic density is really just one piece of the puzzle. What's fascinating here is that the more insidious problem is reliability.
Which brings us back to that 55% first try success rate. Which is crazy to me because the industry constantly touts a charger quote-unquote uptime of 92.3%.
Right. They love that stat.
Yeah. Sounds like a solid A- on a report card. But clearly uptime is a deeply flawed metric, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic case of statistics masking reality. Because uptime generally just means the charging station is receiving electricity from the local grid and it's pinging the network.
So it just means the machine has a pulse.
Exactly. It tells you the machine is technically alive. But that 92.3% doesn't account for, say, a broken payment card reader or a shattered touchscreen.
Right.
Or even a software handshake failure between the charger and your specific model of car.
So the pin drops on your map, you drive 10 miles out of your way, the machine is physically glowing green, but it just refuses to actually give your car any electrons.
Right, which is the root cause of the severe range anxiety we are seeing in the data. And I mean, if you add to that the utilization hotspots, it gets even worse.
The hotspots, right. The materials mentioned Las Vegas and Miami.
Yeah, in Las Vegas, network utilization hits 45.5%. In Miami, it's 40.2%.
Yeah.
And when a station reaches that level of constant, nonstop use, the wear and tear just skyrockets.
Makes sense.
The failure rates climb, and you get these physical lines of cars literally wrapping around the block.
And when a fixed station fails, or, the line is just way too long, there is no backup plan. It's not like the old days. You can't just grab a plastic jerry can, walk 2 miles to a gas station, and carry electricity back to your car.
No, you definitely cannot.
If you're out of juice, you are functionally a brick on the side of the road.
And that physical limitation, that exact vulnerability, is what created the mobile charging industry in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't start as some grand master plan to replace the power grid.
Right.
It started as a highly localized triage operation.
Which is the story of BeeChargedEv. They launched back in 2021, mostly operating around Beverly Hills and Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And their entire initial business model was basically just rescuing stranded drivers.
Yeah, a literal roadside rescue.
Right. They ran these specialized tow trucks and pulled off over 500 rescues for people whose batteries had completely died in the middle of traffic.
Yeah.
But, looking at their trajectory and the sources, they obviously realized that being a local AAA for electric cars wasn't going to scale.
Well, not if you want to be a national infrastructure player, no. To do that, you have to completely untether yourself from the traditional construction model.
Right, and the speed of their expansion is just wild to look at. By 2025 and moving into 2026, they pulled in $5 million, expanded into 25 states and 250 cities. And right now, they're deploying 100 new units with a stated target of a 1,000-unit empire across North America.
And they are fast, too.
Very fast. They hit under 30-minute response times. Their standard mobile charge has roughly 19 miles of range in a half hour, which is, just enough to get you to a working station.
Right, a true rescue.
But then their high-end DC fast chargers
Yeah.
can pump 50 to 100 miles into a car in just 15 to 30 minutes.
Which is incredible. Getting that volume of electricity into a vehicle that quickly from a machine on wheels, no less, is a serious engineering feat.
It really is. But here's what I want to ask you about, because I want to focus on the deployments feed. Building a permanent fixed charging station is just a bureaucratic nightmare, right?
Yeah.
The sources say you're looking at around $50,000 per port.
At least, yeah.
And you have to wait 18 to 24 months for municipal permitting, environmental reviews, trenching through solid concrete, getting the local utility to upgrade the transformers. So if a fixed station takes up to 2 years to build, how exactly is a mobile company bypassing all that red tape and getting power to the people in a matter of days?
It's because they are operating completely off-grid.
Okay.
Because these mobile units generate and store their own power, they simply don't require utility approvals. There's no trenching. There are no high-voltage underground cables to run. You literally just park the unit, and it's operational.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Which means they can deploy into high-density urban areas where digging up the sidewalk is either impossible or where the real estate is just way too expensive to dedicate to a permanent charging block.
Exactly. You drop it where you need it.
But taking a step back, rescuing individual sedans on the side of the highway, even fast, isn't a billion-dollar business model. The logistics of driving a heavy truck out to one single customer are just too inefficient. The only way the math works at a massive scale is if they target commercial fleets.
Yeah, that is the pivotal shift we are seeing in the industry right now, moving from consumer rescue to commercial scale.
And the numbers back that up completely. BeeCharge recently powered 250 fleet vehicles in just 60 days across 15 states. And the actual hardware allowing them to do this is genuinely fascinating.
Oh, the energy cubes.
Yes, the BeeCharge Energy Cube ME series. This thing is an absolute beast. It weighs up to 2,700 kilograms, it packs up to 239.6 kilowatt hours of storage, and delivers 120 kilowatts of output power.
Those numbers are really worth breaking down, actually, because they explain exactly how this system scales so well. So the 120 kilowatts of output refers to the speed, basically how fast it can shove electricity into a vehicle.
Right.
It's essentially the width of the hose. But the 239.6 kilowatt hours, that refers to the tank size. That is an enormous reservoir of localized power.
And what's wild is that you can literally steer this 2,700 kilogram battery around a parking lot with a remote control.
Yeah, it's pretty sci-fi.
Totally. And it's designed to operate in extreme weather, too, from negative 20 to 45 degrees Celsius.
Really?
But the key capability here is that a single cube can support 15 to 20 fleet vehicles daily. And I have to ask, how exactly does one physical box charge 20 separate delivery vans? I mean, it's not an octopus with 20 different cables coming out of it, right?
No. It's an intelligent hub model. It utilizes high-speed sequential charging.
Sequential charging, okay.
Yeah. Right. So a fleet manager parks the delivery vans in a depot at night. The remote-controlled cube is then moved down the line, quickly filling one van after another over the course of a whole shift. Or, alternatively, The vehicles are cycled into the cube's designated charging bay.
Ah, got it.
So it turns a completely standard parking lot into a high-capacity commercial depot without pouring a single ounce of new concrete.
That's brilliant. And beyond just charging cars, they are also using these cubes for something called grid peak shaving.
Mm.
I actually had to look into how this works because it sounded complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a great concept.
Basically, during a hot summer afternoon when the city's power grid is totally maxed out and electricity rates are sky high, businesses can use the stored power in this mobile cube to just run their building. Then, they recharge the cube at night when grid electricity is incredibly cheap.
Exactly. It creates this dual value proposition. The business gets mobile fleet charging, plus a massive industrial battery that actively lowers their monthly utility bill.
Which is obviously great for the bottom line. But here's where it gets really interesting, where I have to push back a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because reading through the energy sources for these massive cubes left me genuinely confused. So they utilize solar hybrids, which is great. We love solar. But they also use renewable propane.
Right.
Wait, so we are using a 2,700 kilogram remote-controlled box
Yep.
powered by a propane generator to charge an electric, supposedly zero-emissions vehicle. Isn't that totally defeating the purpose? How does that make any environmental sense at all?
I know. It sounds like a total contradiction. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the mechanics of renewable propane actually make it a highly pragmatic transition fuel.
Okay, I'm listening.
First off, renewable propane isn't the standard fossil fuel you buy at a hardware store for your barbecue. It's synthesized from sustainable sources like biomass and agricultural waste.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the chemical structure is the same, but the life cycle emissions are drastically lower. It actually emits 43% fewer greenhouse gases than standard gasoline.
Okay, so the fuel itself burns significantly cleaner, but you are still, at the end of the day, burning fuel to make electricity.
You are. However, the emission savings don't just come from the tailpipe. They come from the logistics.
What do you mean?
Well, by putting a massive charger directly inside the fleet depot, those 20 delivery vans don't have to drive 5 miles out of their way empty just to find a public charging station.
Ah,
By optimizing that routing, they cut overall emissions by an additional 18%.
oh wow. So the efficiency of the routing offsets the footprint of the generator.
Precisely. We simply do not have the electrical grid capacity right now to permanently wire every single commercial delivery depot in the country. This mobile solution bridges that gap immediately. And financially, businesses save about 40% on equipment costs by sharing one mobile cube across their fleet instead of building 20 permanent ports.
That's a massive saving. And for you, the listener, even if you don't own a fleet of delivery vans, this actually directly impacts you.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Because if Amazon or FedEx is charging their entire fleet at their own warehouse using an off-grid mobile battery, that means those 20 vans aren't clogging up the public chargers at your local grocery store. It frees up the public grid for everyday drivers.
It completely decongests the entire system. But,
Yeah.
hardware alone doesn't actually solve congestion.
Right.
Because a 2,700 kilogram battery is completely useless if it's parked at the wrong depot on the wrong day.
Which brings us to the software. Moving these heavy assets efficiently across a city is a massive logistics puzzle. And BeeCharge is tackling this by shifting away from reactive hardware, waiting for a tow truck call and moving toward proactive predictive AI.
Yes, their PSC AI predictive smart charging.
Right.
This is where the service model fundamentally changes.
Yeah.
PSC AI integrates directly into the vehicle's battery management system.
It doesn't just look at a map. It literally talks to the car itself. It monitors charge levels in real time and analyzes your driving patterns.
Yeah, it's incredibly advanced.
It's a lot like having a smart refrigerator.
Yeah.
But instead of just telling you when you're out of milk, it automatically dispatches a drone to drop a gallon on your porch before you even wake up.
That's a great way to look at it. It predicts when you will need a charge and allows for a one-tap dispatch of a mobile unit before you are ever actually stranded.
It's wild.
It completely eliminates the concept of running out of gas. The energy actively seeks out the vehicle rather than the vehicle seeking out the energy.
And they're pairing this AI with their Apex 300 program. The sources describe this as a precision deployment model specifically targeting charging deserts, basically areas where fixed infrastructure just doesn't exist at all.
Which naturally leads into their massive expansion into Mexico City.
Yes. This stood out in the materials as a massive tactical move. They are aggressively targeting rideshare and Uber drivers down there.
Because Mexico City is the perfect storm for this technology. Think about the daily economics of a rideshare driver.
Okay.
Their vehicle is their only source of revenue, and downtime is literally fatal to their income. If they have to drive off-route to find a fixed charger, wait in line for an hour, and then sit for another hour on a slow connection, they are losing significant money every single day.
Time is literally money for them. So BeeCharge brings the power to them. They are delivering 65 to 70 kilowatt sessions, taking only 20 to 30 minutes directly to where these drivers are already circulating.
By offering that ultra-fast charging on demand, they are capturing a hyper-lucrative, high-utilization demographic that simply cannot afford the inefficiencies of the fixed grid.
And they are funding this through a really aggressive structure, too. They launched what they call a founding member partnership model. They're essentially carving up metropolitan territories, offering exclusive rights to investors, and projecting 19% to 24% annual returns.
It's extremely aggressive.
Right. They are basically positioning themselves to absorb a huge chunk of Mexico's new $2.8 billion government commitment to EV infrastructure. It's an absolute land grab.
It is a textbook strategy for an emerging market. They are establishing dominance before the concrete for the fixed grid can even be poured.
But if BeeCharge is locking down these massive commercial depots and international rideshare fleets with their giant 2,700-kilo batteries, it leaves a very specific vulnerability in tight, dense urban corridors. And that is exactly where their competitors are attacking.
Yes, the broader KS market showdown.
Exactly. Because the stakes here are incredibly high. The U.S. charging-as-a-service market is projected to reach $425.88 million by 2030. And globally, we are looking at a $16.8 billion industry by 2036.
So everyone is trying to build the perfect mousetrap right now.
They really are.
Yeah.
And the market is fractured into two completely opposite philosophies. Let's compare BeeCharge with one of their main rivals, SparkCharge.
The mechanical differences between these two companies highlight exactly how complex urban logistics really are. BeeCharged is building heavy-duty, modular, solar-ready infrastructure.
Right, the giant remote-controlled cubes we talked about.
Yeah.
Designed for massive scale, servicing 20-plus vehicles a day, staying on-site at a depot for weeks or months at a time, and connecting to smart grids to manage building power.
But SparkCharge is taking the absolute opposite approach. Instead of leaving a massive cube at a site, they operate rapid response vans loaded with swappable battery modules.
I looked at how these work in the product specs, and it's basically like giant Lego bricks. The SparkCharge van pulls up to your car in, say, a tight city alleyway or a crowded parking garage.
Places a big cube could never go.
Exactly. The technician physically unloads these modular battery blocks, stacks them together right next to your car, plugs you in, and when you're topped off, they just pack the blocks back into the van and drive away.
It is an incredibly agile system. A heavy-duty cube from BeeCharge might literally be too large to navigate a subterranean parking garage in Manhattan or Chicago. SparkCharge's modular blocks can be carried anywhere.
But the trade-off is obviously volume, right? The data shows that because the SparkCharge vans have to physically drive to every single customer and manually swap out modules, they only service about 8 to 12 vehicles per day, compared to BeeCharged 20+.
Yeah, it's a classic battle between agility and capacity. SparkCharge basically owns the tight emergency on-demand urban spaces, while BeeCharge is built to dominate the heavy, stationary commercial fleets.
And regardless of whether it's a giant cube or a stack of battery blocks, the way we actually pay for this power is fundamentally changing too. Almost half the market, 47.15% according to the reports, is now utilizing subscription-based charging models.
Subscriptions are everywhere now.
Yep, you just pay a flat monthly fee and the power comes to you whenever the AI says you need it.
And those subscription models are the holy grail for these providers. It gives them predictable, recurring revenue, which is exactly what they need to finance the massive upfront costs of building more batteries and vans.
So what does this all mean? Looking at this entire landscape, the predictive AI talking to your car, the shift to monthly subscriptions, the battle between massive commercial cubes and agile swappable batteries, it really begs the ultimate question. Is mobile charging just a temporary Band-Aid while we wait for the permanent power grid to catch up? Or is this a permanent shift in how we fuel our vehicles?
The capital flowing into this space and the technological roadmaps we're seeing strongly suggest this is a permanent evolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this raises an important question about how we view energy. It changes the core physics of refueling. For over a century, the combustion engine dictated that the driver must go to the fuel, You monitor a gauge, you find a gas station, you pull in. And early EV infrastructure just lazily copied that 20th century model.
Right, they just swapped the gas pump for an electrical cord, but kept the real estate model exactly the same.
But mobile charging flips that dynamic entirely. It decouples the energy from the real estate. And when you factor in upcoming technologies mentioned in the projections, like AI-driven load balancing to stabilize city grids and wireless inductive charging.
Wait, wireless charging for cars?
Oh yeah, expected around 2026, specialized pads installed in the ground or under vehicles allow power to transfer without even plugging in a physical cord.
That's crazy.
So when you add that, mobile solutions become incredibly sticky. They aren't going to just vanish when more public chargers are built. They're going to become a highly integrated, invisible layer of the energy network.
Wow. Okay, let's bring this all together. We started by looking at the harsh reality of the current EV landscape, the broken promise of stationary chargers, and the fact that a 55% success rate is driving 160,000 drivers to call for roadside rescue.
A truly frustrating reality.
Very. From that frustration, we tracked the explosive rise of mobile rescue fleets, watching them evolve from simple tow trucks in Los Angeles into 2,700-kilogram smart grid-connected commercial powerhouses. We explored how AI is now predicting our energy needs before we even realize them, and how totally opposite philosophies, from giant off-grid cubes to swappable battery vans, are battling for dominance in a $16 billion global market.
It is a phenomenal case study in how a massive logistical failure basically creates an entirely new paradigm of infrastructure.
And for you listening, whether you are managing a logistics company and trying to figure out how to transition to electric delivery without waiting 2 years for a city permit, or you are just an everyday driver who wants the confidence that your car will actually start tomorrow, the takeaway is pretty clear. The very concept of energy is changing. It is no longer a physical destination you have to desperately search for. It is transforming into an intelligent service that anticipates your needs and comes directly to you.
Which leaves us with a truly disruptive thought to consider moving forward.
Oh, I like disruptive thought.
Well, think about this based on the sources. If predictive software knows exactly when your battery is low, and an autonomous mobile unit can simply navigate to your office parking lot, find your car, and wirelessly charge it while you sit at your desk working.
Yeah.
What happens to the multi-trillion-dollar gas station real estate market? Does the idea of dedicating massive prime intersections in every city just for cars to sit and refuel become completely obsolete before the global EV grid is even finished being built?
Oh, man, that is a staggering thought. A city with 0 gas stations and 0 charging stations. Just an invisible network of power that finds you exactly when you need it. Thank you for taking this deep dive into the sources with us today. Keep questioning the infrastructure built around you and stay insanely curious.